Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, everybody. I am feeling really pumped tonight. So we've got some really exciting stuff on the line for you today. So I'm really, really excited. I'm going to give everybody a minute or two to come on. As you come on, make sure you say hello. Let us know where you're watching from so that we know where everybody is, because it's always so cool with social media. People are all over the world. And if you can't hear me for some reason, just let me know. I'm going to try to also make sure that this is easily findable in the group, because that's always, I see some people finding me right away. I always like to make this an announcement to make sure that everyone can see us. So there I am. I see it. I'm making an announcement. So hopefully people will be able to find us more quickly. So as you come on, make sure you say hello, hello, hello. I see a familiar face right there. Let me just read the comments because I'm on StreamYard. I want to make sure I see everyone's name. All right, let's see. Oh, my phone is frozen. All right, I see some other hellos. For those of you who have never seen me live before, my name is Stephanie McPhail. I am the expert in helping brilliant women date up. What that means is I am a professional at helping women who are successful in every other area of their lives, except for relationships, get the tools they need so they can stop the cycle, so that if they do decide to date again, they date up. So welcome, welcome. Hey, Chrissy. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Raquel. It's good to see everybody. We love coming here every Thursday night. And I'm really, really excited to share with you some wonderful testimonials, some client wins I'm going to share with you tonight. David and I did some interviews with some of our former clients who wanted to share their experiences of what it was like working with us. So tonight is really going to be questions and answers. I want to be able to answer any questions that you have. And I'm going to give you a heads up right now. This is going to last about 45 minutes. I looked maybe a little bit less, probably not too much more, but right around there. So definitely stick around for the entire thing. It's going to be well worth it. I want to share with you some information about me, but I also, more importantly, really want to showcase some of the amazing clients that we've been able to work with not even that long ago. You're going to hear some testimonials from some clients that we worked with a few years ago. You're going to hear some testimonials from some clients that we just recently stopped working with. So you're going to get to hear the stories of a bunch of different people that I think it's really going to resonate for you. So who's ready to dive into tonight? Right? Dive in. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's hear all the great stories. Woohoo! I see some dives coming in. So good to see everybody. So, okay. So here's the first thing. I want to share, first of all, I think the biggest thing is for a lot of people is being afraid to ask for help. And, for me, before I had done the work, I was successful in every other area of my life. I was a teacher. I had been a teacher. I had a double master's degree in health and education. I was a certified crisis counselor. All the other areas of my life, I was doing really, really well in. And I was hiding a big secret that most of the people that I worked with didn't know about. And that was, I would go to work as kind of my safety, my safe space. And I would go home and it would be terrible. I would go home and I would never know, is this going to be when I have to cover my head because he's going to get mad and punch the wall around me? And so I get right into it, no holding back here with me. Is this going to be that day? Is this going to be where he loses his temper? Is he going to not talk to me? Is there going to be a fight? Am I going to, see his car and go to my crying place? I used to go down the road to be able to cry. I never knew what was going to happen. Or is today going to be great? Is he going to be happy with me today? So I literally never knew what I was going to walk into when I came home. And I lived that way for a long time. And I didn't just do it once. I went from one toxic relationship into another one. So I thought that I could figure it out in between relationships because I'm smart. I had a degree in psychology. I'm a certified crisis counselor. I used to go into schools in crisis situations and teach other adults and students about how to deal with crisis. That's while I was dealing with a toxic relationship at home. So for some of you that might be like, oh yeah, kind of sounds a little bit familiar. You might also be thinking, like I did, that I could figure it out all by myself. And so I spent a lot of time doing a lot of research. And I don't know if that resonates for anybody who's watching right now, but I became an expert at researching. So with that degree in psychology, so I already had that background. I'm like, let me learn a little bit more about what's going on with this person. So I learned all about narcissism. I learned all about borderline personality disorder. My first long-term boyfriend I learned all about depression. He was going through grief because his father had passed away, and there was issues that he had not dealt with because his father had passed away. He was hiding, and marijuana I didn't think was a big deal, except my boyfriend at that time, he was just abusing it. He was high from the morning he woke up until he went to bed. And then towards the end of the relationship, little did I know, he started abusing cocaine as well. And then he just went down from there. And then my first marriage, started off being not good at all, and then just continued on downhill. And I stayed a long time trying to figure it out, because I thought, well, I'm just not going to do that anymore. In between relationships, I'm just not going to be in another toxic relationship. I figured it out this time. I'm just not going to do the same things. But because I didn't know what to do to create a healthy relationship, I created the same patterns over and over again because I didn't know any better. And again, I don't know if this really resonates for anybody who's watching right now, but I didn't know actually how to create something different. I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know how to create what I actually wanted. And that's where it became really important. So after I ended my first marriage, after he cursed me out and told me that I wasn't doing enough for him, even though I was working a second job and he hadn't paid a penny in months, cursing, screaming, keeping me up, being physically abusive, verbally abusive, I wasn't doing enough. And I decided I can't do this anymore. I don't care if he follows through on all the threats that he's made towards me. I don't care what happens, but I can't live like this anymore. So I got out. I got out of the marriage. I actually went and slept on a friend's couch, it was my home. I went and slept on a friend's couch, and I said, okay, I'm going through the divorce process. And it was hard. It was so hard. I remember selling my wedding ring and engagement ring so that I could give him the money so that he'd get his own place, doing everything, and just step by step how difficult it was, how painful it was to go through all of our assets and figure out everything. And it broke my heart, because I had promised that I would be with him through sickness and in health. I thought that we would be together forever, that we would figure it out. And so it broke my heart. I felt like I was letting him down to end that relationship, even though it was so toxic. When that ended, there was a little reprieve. I felt better for a little bit. I was like, whew, I feel so good. Now I can go do whatever I want. And I felt pretty good. And then things started to turn. Things started to go downhill. I hadn't gotten help. I hadn't gotten anyone's knowledge on how to stop the cycle of unhealthy relationships. So even though I was out of that toxic relationship, I was still having toxicity in my life. I actually went out and got a DWI. I learned the hard way that getting behind the wheel of your car and not driving, but your keys in the ignition, is called intent to drive. And I don't know if you've seen any of the photos going around this week. We've been doing a whole bunch of different photos, but one of those photos is my mugshot. Me, I never even got in trouble in high school. I never got detention. Well, one time got detention. And here I was, someone who got a DWI and had to go on probation. It was like all-time low. I felt miserable. I felt so embarrassed that my life had gotten that low, that I had gotten a DWI. And I was like, no one is ever going to want me. Maybe this guy who was abusive to me, maybe this is the best I'm ever going to get. And I really started to think that way. And my grandmother passed away. I had started seeing a guy that I had like the hots for in middle school. Like in middle school, like this was a type of middle school crush that we used to make out on the bus in 7th grade. And it was just, I'm like, he was just so cute. He was so, something really handsome about him, really attractive about him. And when we reconnected, he was, oh my gosh, I could feel his energy come down the road. Like I felt him and I was like, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the guy. And then he ghosted me out of the blue. Didn't just stop talking to me. That put me over the edge. I had gotten a blood clot. I was ghosted. My grandmother had passed away. I'd gotten a DWI, was put on probation. Things were bad. I wasn't allowed to drive. I mean, even going to the gym, I wasn't allowed to drive to the gym because I wasn't allowed to drive. That was my way of dealing with stress, and that was taken away from me. It got bad. I would curl up in a ball and just hope the next day would come quickly. and just do the whole thing over again. And I would say to myself, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Just get through this day. And I felt like there was a big weight on my chest. I couldn't breathe. And I just had to try to think that someday maybe I won't feel this bad anymore. Whatever I felt during my marriage, this was even worse than that. And then I got a pink eye, and then I sprained my ankle. So just to give you and this was all within a few weeks of each other. So and there was a point where I was like, is this serious? Is this seriously actually going on for me? Is this my life? And I remember being in the emergency room, and I was working as a teacher at the time, and my school called my ex-husband because they didn't know that we were divorced. And he comes to the emergency room. So it's him and the emergency room doctor. And they tell me oh, you have a severely sprained ankle. You're going to have to, put it up for a while. And I had just been off bed rest from having a blood clot. So this was just one of those things. And I was like, this can't be really happening. But as I sat there, it was all of a sudden I got a ping. All of a sudden I was like, whoo, I hear something. And there was a voice that I heard that said, you are your own knight in shining armor. Stop waiting for someone to come and save you. And luckily, I got that message loud and clear because I understood that I had already tried to do it by myself. I had tried and failed miserably. Again, I'm a smart person. I had degrees. I had all of the knowledge to be able to create a better life for myself, but I had yet to do it. So in that moment in the emergency room, I was like, you're right, universe. I need to do something different. And what I'm going to do different is I'm going to ensure that I do whatever it takes to change my life. Now, at that time, I only had a glimmer of hope, that tiny, tiny bit. And some of you right now might be like, I barely can see it. I don't know if there is something more for me. I really am not sure if maybe this is all there is, but maybe there's something. That's how I felt. I felt that maybe there's something, I'm not sure, but I'm going to sure as well damn try to make it. And what I've done before hasn't worked. So what can I do differently? And I realized I hadn't gotten help before. So I got a therapist. I got a coach. I started looking at the friends I was hanging out with. Who are the people that are inspiring me? Who are draining me? Who are the friends that are the real friends? Who have been the ones that have come to help me when I had a blood clot? Who are the ones that are helping me now that I have a sprained ankle? Who are the ones that are calling and checking in on me while I'm curled up in the fetal position, crying myself to sleep? Who are those real friends? Who are the people who are in positive relationships themselves? And I had to take a step back. And I had to take a step back with support because my thinking is what got me to that point in the fetal position and then in the emergency room. My thinking is what got me there. And I knew that my thinking, because as smart as I was, I'd never figured out, was going to keep me repeating the same things over and over again. And I didn't want to waste any more time because I already allowed him to, and the other relationships, to suck away too much of my valuable energy and too much of my time. So I'm going to just give you a heads up. Luckily, here I am. So guess what happened? I got the help. I did what I needed to do. I discovered who I was. I went through all the pain. I uncovered the childhood issues. I learned healthy boundaries, healthy coping skills. I went on adventures. Hey, Cheryl. I did all the things that I needed to do to find out who I was. And I decided that I was probably going to be single for the rest of my life. Whoa. This was someone who went from relationship to relationship and felt like something was wrong with me. Why doesn't anybody want to be with me? And I kept trying in past relationships to prove my worthiness to someone else. And this time around, I was like, I don't care if I ever meet anyone again. I am so happy being by myself that if someone comes around, they'd sure as hell better be awesome. And I really, truly felt like I wasn't just saying that. I traveled cross country. I had friends. I could come and go as I pleased. I had freedom I had never experienced before because I got the help. And I took action. And then it happened. Who do I meet? Now, I'm not saying I wasn't on dating apps anymore. I was on dating apps and there was a lot of no's. Nope. Because I started to really get a good idea of what I was looking for. That if I was ever possibly going to date again, I was going to find someone who checked off every box that I was looking for. But I had to learn what that was, because before I didn't know. I wanted to make other people like me, but I didn't really know what I wanted in a relationship. Not really. So I really had to date and see what it was that I wanted. Not hoping for anything, just knowing that if I was going to be with someone, they had to be pretty damn amazing for me to stop being single. And that's when I met David, this wonderful guy behind me, for those of you who don't know David, and my partner in all of this wonderful that you get to see every single week. And I'm going to tell you right now, and when I'm going to start sharing some of the testimonials from some of our clients, because this is what I want you to think about this as you're watching this. I want you to keep in mind. Now, listen to my story. And some of you, let me know if any part of my story resonated for you. Just write in the comment "resonate" so that I know that story resonated for you. Even if it's just a little part, if any of that story resonated for you, comment the word "resonate" in the comments. Because for those of you where it resonates, I want you to put yourself right now here where I am, behind the screen, talking to you. So I'm future you, who's done the work, who's got the mentorship, who's done what they needed to do. This is future you talking to you, because I wish someone was talking to me like I am to you right now. So hello, future you. I see some people where it says it resonates. So hello, future you. I am telling you right now that if I hadn't done the work, I would not be here telling you about my story and how I overcame it. If I had not done the work, I would not be here inspiring you to do the work. And think about the ripple effect. Think about what happens as me sitting here letting you know that there's a possibility, if you take that step forward, of you being here. Think of the thousands of people. I have a group right now, currently, if you're watching this live right now, we have over 15,000 people in the group. I've spoken on 50 or 60 summits. I've written 2 books. I have reached and I've taught for 17 years. So I have reached millions of people at this point. Think about all the ripple effect. One person hearing my story, then taking that story, thinking about themselves and how it resonates for them. And I'm seeing loads and loads of resonates. Think of that story and that resonates for them. And they're like, oh, that inspires me. Maybe I'll do something different. Maybe I'll work on me. And then they change. And then someone else sees what they do. And then maybe they'll change. Think about the ripple effect that happens when one person does the work. When one person does the work. And then, of course, they start sharing what happened, how they overcame it. Then it starts rippling and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that is my hope for you. I hope that you get inspired. So I see that there's so many people that wrote resonate. I really am excited to see. So the first person that's going to come on is now, and again, because I did the work, I get to help other people. I get paid to help all of you do the work so that you don't have to try to figure it out. You don't have to be like me, floundering around thinking that I could figure it out on my own. You don't have to waste that time. You don't have to do that. I got you, girls. I got you. And guys, don't worry. We accept you too. But I got you, girls. I got you. And I can help you get there. It's because I did the work. So here's what I'm going to do. Hey, Renee. I am going to share with you the first story of my girl, Terry. Terry is actually a client of mine from like 3 years ago. And Terry and I, she's awesome. You're going to love her. So if you are excited to have Terry come on and share her story, please give me some woohoos in the comments so that I know that you're excited. Then let's do some likes and loves and some welcomes to our girl, Terry, who's going to come and share her story and how what she did with working with David and I has really changed her life. So buckle in, get ready for Terry. Woohoo! Terry, I mean, I don't know if you want to share a little bit of your story of like, oh my gosh, when you and I met 3 years ago.
I was a hot mess disaster is what I was.
Not pulling any punches.
She's not, yeah, she's to be honest, that's what we do here. So what would you call a hot mess? Like, do you want to share a little bit about how you started or like what was going on for you?
Yeah, I had just left a 16-year on and off relationship with my ex-husband, who's an addict. He was in and out of prison. He's a narcissist. It was just a toxic train wreck that was just this cycle that, you know, we would break up and he would come back, and it was just the whole thing over and over and over again for 16 years. And I was a mess, and I did not want to go back again. I did not want to fall back into that cycle. And I was petrified that I was going to.
And that's when, and I remember you came to me, you said that, and then there were some like brief moments of like, well, let me call him, or, you know, because it was like, there was that pull, because they pull us, right? It's like that drama, and especially when we start like that trauma bond, breaking it gets a little bit uncomfortable. Like, well, this is what I know. I've been doing this back and forth for all these years. I don't know who I am without this.
You get comfortable in the toxicity and the fear. Like, that's like, I was comfortable in that. As crazy as that sounds. Well,
and we get comfortable with the discomfort.
Well, it's because very often we know.
Yeah.
And for 16 years, that's sure as heck what you know. It's definitely something that's ingrained.
Yeah, these patterns get ingrained, and they cause our thoughts and feelings to flow in the same direction. And, you know, that's for a lot of people the most difficult part about change is embracing the unknown. You know, people sometimes make the mistake of thinking like, well, if I do something a little bit differently, if I say this, or if I wait 5 seconds before responding or whatever. Like, I think the biggest part of this is a willingness to let go of your old self in order to make room for something new.
So what is the biggest, like, what's the biggest result? Now, you did the program, you know, you actually did it a few times, and every single time you had like an up level, like every single time. What are the biggest, you have a bunch, but like, what are some of the biggest results that you've had from working in the program?
Yeah, I think it started with that comfort zone, you know, being comfortable in all of that mess, and being so afraid of everything, of you know, trying to step ahead. So some of the things that that I think about, I went back to school. And I decided to go back to school during the first program. We were still in the program. I was 55 years old, and there was always wanted to be a social worker. That's just something I had always wanted to do. And I was a single mom for all those years, didn't have the money, didn't have the time. So here it is. You're talking about investing in yourself. Went ahead and signed back up for school, and I am this close to getting my bachelor's degree.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it.
And then my job, I was in a job for 10 years. I was getting bored. I was getting frustrated. There were some things going on in the office that I wasn't happy with. And here this position opened up in the same company, but it was complete, like accounting, public relations. Like, there's like nothing remotely, and I'd never done anything like public relations before. And I took the job, and I know without a doubt that I would not have had the confidence to do that had I not gone through the program and made so many changes. You know, I got my passport.
Did that job make more money? Like, I feel like not only did you really like it, but it actually made more money too.
Yes, and I'm allowed to be a little bit more creative. I get to write, which I love to do. I mean, they're press releases, but it's you know, it's not accounting. So, but
more fulfillment, more money.
And more you know, getting to know you. I was like, yeah, you're definitely much more into the writing. Like, you're such a good writer. So you were like, that talent was being lost in what you were doing before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and you actually, so Terry and I actually have also hung out. Yeah. So last year we actually gave the opportunity for people to go to Costa Rica for a women's retreat. And this was none of us knew that it was going to be right before a pandemic. And, you know, we got to go and hang out for a whole week in Costa Rica. So I hung out with Terry and some other wonderful ladies from the group. And What was your experience doing that? I mean, that was an intense week, and you had done the program 3 times, and then you came with us and did the Costa Rica retreat. What was that like for you?
Still more pushing of that comfort zone. You know, I pushed through some fears that I had. There were a few times I didn't think I was going to make it, you know, through whatever we were doing, the zip lining, the hiking, you know, it's just way above my comfort zone. But I did it.
What was the name of the guy? What was the name of the guy that you had to attach to? Because Terry was afraid of going down the zip line. Let me just tell you, like the hottest guy there happened to be, she was afraid.
Alejandro was his name.
I'm like, good one, Terry. That was good. I like that.
Pretty sure I was old enough to be his mother, though.
So cute. You know, you were attached to him for a few of the rides down, which, you know.
No harm there.
Exactly. So what would you tell anyone that was like, you know, on the fence? They're like, you know, never invested in myself before. It's scary. I don't really know what to do. Is it going to actually help me? Is it possible for someone like me to see the changes that all these wonderful women have seen? Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah. And honestly, I was a little nervous about it too. You know, the cost was more, like you said before, you know, we always put ourselves last. It's always, you know, everybody else. And I just thought, you know, that's a lot for me, like, you know, but I knew I needed changes, and I knew I needed to do something completely different than I had been doing, because obviously what I was doing on my own was not working. So I decided that the changes that I wanted were worth the investment, you know? And I started seeing the changes right away, that the daily accountability within the inner circle, that, you know, it kept me focused. And I started to realize that all the love and all the energy that I was putting into this toxic mess for so long, I could now put into myself. And once I started doing that, things just started to change.
I love it. I love it. And that to me, I think that if you know, for people that work with us, when they get that moment of the release of that connection to these toxic people, and then all of a sudden it's like, I have all this energy. Like, what am I going to do with all this great energy I have? Did you notice that too?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Terry. Did you want to say anything else before we take you off?
You know, I want to tell people that, you know, for a lot of years, I really thought that my best years were behind me, and they're not. You know, I get to write the script for the rest of my life. I get to decide what my best life looks like, and I get to live it out, you know, without having to justify it to anybody, and without having to worry about what anybody else thinks, you know.
Sounds like freedom. Yeah, that's freedom. Okay, so how many people love Terry? Let's give Terry a round of applause. I love Terry. She is so awesome. What is your big takeaway from Terry's testimonial, from her interview? Is there anything that stands out for you, or any questions that you have about Terry that you'd like me to answer? I'd love to be able to answer any questions that you have. But it's just really, and of course, you know, I'm on regular conversation with Terry. That's one of the things too, that you realize, like Cheryl's one of our girls, you know, when you become part of the inner circle, it's like family. So you're suddenly around other people that are also looking to heal themselves. And that's a really big thing, because I don't know about you, but I was surrounded by a lot of toxic people. I was also surrounded by a lot of people that didn't really understand what I was going through, and they weren't experts. So I didn't really have anybody that I can share like what my struggles were, what I needed to do. I didn't have anybody to do that with. But when you work with us in the inner circle, when you join the Brilliant Life Blueprint, then you actually get a whole bunch of other people that are also same mindset. These are people who are looking to change their lives in a way that other people around you in your regular life probably aren't doing. There's probably not a lot of people that you know in your regular life that are working towards daily improvement on themselves. because there's always something. Healing is not a straight line forward or straight line up, right? It's kind of up and down. Sometimes it's a little bit backwards sometimes, but it's about constant action daily. Consistent action daily is what I should say. Constantly moving that little bit, sometimes course correcting, sometimes realizing we're not going in the right direction. Let's do something a little bit different. But having that mentorship and having that support really helps to make sure that we stay focused. So you've got that whole community of people that are also working to improve themselves, that are stumbling and trying to figure it out. And then you've got two experts on your side. So it really, really helps move people and catapult them more quickly into where they want to be for themselves. So I see Tanya says, I was married 10 years to a narcissist, but had never heard of it. We divorced. I just got out of a 3-year relationship with a narcissist, and I have been reading and listening to videos about the subject. I'm trying to heal. Well, excellent job becoming an expert and learning. Well, not even expert, but learning about why this person behaved that way is the beginning part of healing. And it's very early on in the healing stage. Getting mentorship is where you actually start having the needle moving. And that's where we start to realize, like, hey, I'm not going to waste any more time trying to figure it out on my own, because the narcissists mess with our heads so much. We really need someone to remind us, like, okay, what is actually normal? What things do I specifically need to do to help me move forward? So that's where really the difference, like earlier on, is just the learning part. The taking action and getting mentorship or coaching is the part where the real healing actually takes place. So love Terry. Now, the next person that we're going to have on, my girl, Rachel. So now, if any of you know, we work with professional women. That's most of the time who we work with. And again, yes, we sometimes work with men. We're not excluding men in any way, shape, or form. In my life, my mother is more narcissistic. My dad is the one who's more codependent. So I understand that other dynamic, that other perspective. And so when we're talking about healing, we want to really look at, healing all different parts of ourselves. And, when Rachel came to us, Rachel was a nurse. And so the helpers in the community, in the world, tend to be the ones that help everybody else but themselves. I'm not sure if that resonates for you, but we help everybody else. So we have a lot of doctors, therapists, we have other coaches, we have nurses, we have teachers, other people that are used to helping others. So whatever that field is, it's helping other people. Those tend to be a lot of our clients, because they realize, hey, I help everybody else. It's finally time for me to help myself. Business owners too, of course, because business owners are always trying to help other people. We want to reel it back and start focusing on that, right? And if we're a mom on top of it, then a lot of us have really poor boundaries, because we're used to really giving it all to our family and to our children. So the next person, as I started to say before, is our girl, Rachel. Rachel has a beautiful son who is 3 years old. He's actually similar age as my daughter, Sophie. And she came with us really just, not feeling like she was good enough, not feeling like she was worthy of a healthy relationship. And up until that point that we worked with her, she had never experienced a healthy relationship in her life. Never experienced it. And so I'm going to let you I'm going to let you hear her story and hear where she is now, like what's going on for her now. So let's give a round of applause for Rachel. Woo-hoo, Rachel. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Let's welcome Rachel to the stage. Okay, so we've known each other now for a few months. You watched some of these lives and you decided to take action yourself. So can you tell us a little bit about what life was like for you before you joined the inner circle, before you started working with David and I?
Yeah. So how you guys were talking about, moms being exhausted. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and really I felt hopeless. I tried many things in the past and nothing actually seemed to stick. I'm 43 now, and I've been living in this world for my entire life. And I was really looking for something different. And you guys really offered, a unique plan with both of you having this, husband-wife team. And I thought, wow, she's been there, he's been there, now they're together. That's what I want. So that's really why I joined your team.
So what are the biggest results that you've had from working with us? Like if there was like some aha things, some breakthroughs. I mean, I remember our first conversation and now we just had a conversation not that long ago about where you're at. what's been the biggest thing for you, the biggest like aha moments or the results so far for you?
So one of the other things I wanted to mention about the uniqueness, which is tied into my aha moment, is so with Stephanie and the modules, that kind of takes you to a place where you figure out what it is you need. Okay, so I figured out that I didn't value myself. I figured out that I didn't feel worthy of love. And that's why I accepted breadcrumbs. I accepted abuse. You know, I stayed with somebody who had cheated on me and who then continued to cheat on me. And so Stephanie really helped me identify all of those issues and then where they came from. I mean, you do a lot of work on yourself, you know, from childhood with all the different modules. You really look deep into yourself. And then with David, you know, he did this Psych K session with me that just, I mean, blew my mind. I mean, honestly, that's how it's magic. I don't know how it works, but it's amazing.
Nice.
And so my statement to myself was that I have unconditional value. And so with this Psych K magic, I came out of that session with David knowing that I had unconditional value, and I have not questioned it since then. I mean, everywhere I go, I'm just like, no, I have value. I'm not going to settle for that. You know, I was even able to tell my soon-to-be ex-husband on a phone call that I know that I have value now, and I have self-esteem, and I have self-respect, and that I just can't be with you, you know, ever again. It felt great. So I would say those definitely were some huge aha moments. And that's why the two of you together work perfectly. So
what are you the most excited about moving forward? Because now that you're able to actually like stand your ground and say those things, because you know, the Rachel that I met when you first came on, you would have been afraid to say any of those things to your ex-husband.
Yeah.
You were kind of walking on eggshells. Yeah.
Yes,
So like, what are you the
yes.
most excited about moving forward?
So I think just knowing how to set boundaries and, you know, boundaries, I was thinking about as you guys were just talking about boundaries, and, you know, I had my toilet fixed recently. And this sounds kind of silly, but it's one now, it was leaking, you know, how it runs. And so I had a friend fix it, but I noticed after it was fixed, you had to hold the handle down to get it to actually flush. Now, the old Rachel would have just been like, oh, it's, you know, they already did so much work on this. I don't want to speak up. I don't want to tell them that, you know, I can't flush the toilet now. But then it didn't even dawn on me. I was just like, oh, hey, you know, is there any way to fix this? This just isn't really meeting my needs. I know I'm just going to walk off and not flush it. And so, yeah, it's just like simple things like that. Before I would have never spoke up, and life is so much happier because guess what? My toilet flushes and it's great, you know, right?
That's helpful.
Yeah. So things like that. And then also just, I'm not exhausted. I have lots of energy now, and I go paddle boarding, snorkeling. You know, Stephanie helped me in the modules reach out to people, start a Facebook group of my own, you know, go hiking with people. So I have a life now. My toddler just got home, so.
And that's perfect as a mom. So
yes,
it works.
Mommy, auntie.
Oh, say
Well,
hi.
that's so great too, because it shows how these shifts come through in everyday things. You know,
Yeah,
how
yes.
our mindset is reflected in everything that we think, feel, and act on. So that's great, and it really is the little things that I think that make a big difference.
So what would you tell anyone that is on the fence about joining? Like, what would be the things that you think are just important for people to know?
I think the most important thing is that this has worked for me. Nothing else. And I've tried everything. I mean, I have a therapist. I've tried, you know, 12-step programs. I've tried everything and nothing has worked. I've read so many books, and this, if you are actually willing to change, of course, you have to have that willingness to transform. This will work for you 100%. And you will come out on the other end just a better human being for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for everyone. And it really, really is worth it. And I love you guys. I love everybody on the group too. It's just really wonderful. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rachel. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you as well. And as you know, there's very little that's more gratifying to us than to see the transformations in ways that really make a difference in people's lives.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. We're going to, everyone give an applause. Oh, Rachel. So how awesome is that? I mean, how she had her therapist, she had done research, she had done 12-step programs, and nothing worked like working through the Brilliant Life Blueprint, like having that kind of mentorship, having that kind of support. And she did talk about Psych K. So for those of you who have never heard about Psych K before, it's actually something that David is an advanced Psych K facilitator. So he actually helps people. He's got advanced, certifications in Psych K. And so what that does is it helps with the negative subconscious beliefs. So any of those beliefs that we have about ourselves that a lot of us probably have of maybe I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I'm too old to change, it's not possible for me, there's no good guys out there or good women out there, whatever it is, those subconscious beliefs, he helps shift them. And so if you're looking for that kind of shifts, then, that's definitely something that helps without even having to try. I mean, there's a lot of clients that we've had that have severe trauma and even PTSD where they've seen Psych K work when other things haven't because they haven't had to relive it. It actually helps change it at that subconscious level without actually having to do major work in that area. So that way that part is worked on without having to do that much. And then you can catapult everything. And that's why things move much more quickly when you work through the program. So yeah, always love hearing Rachel's story. It's wonderful. And to watch her continue to grow, we also keep in touch. And again, part of the family, once you're part of the family, we always want to know where our family members are. So I love hearing the updates that I get with clients, former clients that check in and see how we're doing, and they stay in touch with other clients that did the program with them. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful community to be in. So the next person that we're going to actually have come on is my girl, Donna. Donna actually was in a relationship when she started, and when she ended the program with us, her relationship actually improved. So for her, and I'm going to let her share her story, but her husband was a recovering alcoholic and had been for a while. He had been in recovery, but she couldn't let go of the past. So she had decided to stay with him, but she couldn't let go of what had happened in the past. So she decided to start working with us in the program, and I'm going to let all of you hear her story and share what happened for her. So let's give a wonderful round of applause for Donna. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I love all this stuff. This is what makes me do what I do. Again, what I said earlier, for those of you who've been on the whole time, is for the reason why I do what I do is because if you remember back from the beginning, I said, I did the work. I'm future you talking to you and saying, hey, it's possible to change. I am telling you as future you that you can be here too, and think of all the other people that you are inspiring because you are doing the work. I hope you're seeing this so far, because I love it. I love getting to see how people are growing and changing and shifting and then creating wonderful effects on the people, their families, their friends, their work associates, people that they run into, that they meet. It's just a ripple effect everywhere when one person starts to make a shift. So I'm going to share with you Donna's story. So let's welcome Donna. Whoop, whoop, Donna. About where you were at before you joined the Inner Circle. And I feel like, again, you're just another story that I hear, and it's just like so inspirational to hear where you started and where you are now.
Well, when I first started, I was just very unhappy. I was unhappy with my life. I wasn't really sure why. I think one of my first major things with David with the Psych K was I couldn't even begin to explain my emotions, my feelings. I was just sort of disconnected from it all, like kind of numb. So we did the session. David kind of like talked me through it. I didn't even know, what to expect with the session. And it was very moving. I just started to feel a little bit of hope. It was sort of like I guess in the dark, if you think of a candle, and each day it grew a little bit more, a little bit more. Stephanie, you had said to me about my incomplete, and I went back, started searching a little more. And then David recommended a book, and I started reading the book, and I woke up one day and I was like, that's it. It kind of became very clear in what I needed to do to clear me. So, and everybody has a different story and different levels. But you guys were patient, and and you supported me, and I went to the lives, and I read the the units, and sometimes I didn't even know what I was looking for. But you guys coached me through it. You guided me through it. And so when I did my my clearing, I actually put ashes in the water of my abuser. And that day was such, it was a very windy day. I almost talked myself out of it, but I didn't. And it was such a peaceful feeling that came over me, and every day since then, it's been just, I don't know, the birds sound a little bit louder, the flowers are a little bit brighter, life is happier. One of the other things when me and David had talked, he talked about the unconscious level, and that kind of really really made me stop and think, because then I started doing like a lot of the meditations where I wasn't just doing what the requirement sheets were. So when I started doing the meditations, I would even do them at night. And then I started to, my granddaughter asked me about them, and she did them. So now she comes, she does a sleepover, and she wants to listen to the music. She just calls it music. She doesn't realize it's meditation, but it helps her because she had some struggling things that she was going through, and it kind of really helped to kind of move through it, So I'm very grateful for this program. I've grown quite a bit. A lot of times I'll go for a walk and people will say to me, "Oh, who are you walking with?" Myself. And I'm very happy and content with that. You've taught me how to be my best friend.
Beautiful.
So it's, it's very interesting. And I think that if people are thinking, when I signed up for the program, I didn't even know how I was paying for it. I just knew I needed to do something different. So thank you.
I love it. Oh, Donna's story, and to Jess, and she's right. Once she was able to let go of some of that past and be able to let those ashes go and really start living her life, she started to just shift, and things are just getting better and better for her. So congratulations, Donna. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. So let's give her a big round of applause for coming on and sharing. Not always easy to come on, and we have so many of our clients who love coming on and sharing their stories because they want other people to be inspired. They want other people to realize that it is possible for you, no matter how long you've been suffering, no matter how long you've been dealing with whatever you've been dealing with, it is possible to change. So what's been standing out for all of you? What are the big aha moments, the big takeaways that you've seen so far from the clients that have come on and shared their story? Please feel free to share your story, your takeaway from the clients that you've seen, and what really kind of stands out for you. Like, what are you thinking? And as always, I'm sure I don't need to say this, but if you're watching this as a replay, still make sure you're commenting as if you're watching it live, because we would love to hear your comments. We don't want them to get lost and for you to think that it doesn't matter that you're watching it as a replay. So no matter where you're watching this, make sure you're still commenting along with the video. We'd love to still answer. And of course, if there's any questions that anybody has, now is a great time to ask. And if you're watching it as a replay, just make sure you tag me so that I can make sure that I can answer the question for you. So is this helpful for everybody? Can you write in the comments helpful if this is something that is helpful for you? Are you getting inspired by these amazing, wonderful people who have gone through the program, who might be in a place that's similar to where you are at? I love this. This gets me so excited to just listen to everybody's story. So Jennifer says helpful. Maria, Charlene says helpful. So there's a bunch of people. Oh, some big helpfuls. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to just bring on for just a second my girl, Tammy. Tammy's got to probably say something that I think some of you might be thinking right now. So I'm going to just bring her on for 1 second. Thank you, everybody. And Michelle G said, this is to Rachel. She says, I loved how you said you realized your worth and value. What specifically helped you realize it?
So I really do contribute it to my Psych K session with David. You know, it was something that I wanted to target, and I really focused on that. So yeah, I mean, I think definitely doing the Psych K session, because I told myself many times before that I had value, and until that subconscious was able to kind of get through it really, you know, I had a hard time actually believing it. I just kept telling myself, but until I did the Psych K session. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
We ever thought would be our, you know, what we didn't know what was out there for us. So when we found this was that Stephanie, for it to make that big of a difference in our lives, that is huge.
All right, so my video clips got a little bit mixed up, but you know, the big thing that Tammy shared when she was sharing her bit was that, you know, a lot of people might be wondering, is it possible? Like, is it possible? And I wanted you to see all of the panelists. I wanted you to see all the people that were so excited to come and share their story. And I want you to realize that we do this every day. We work with hundreds of women. So think about, you saw 5 just then. Think about the hundreds of people that we've worked with and the millions of people that have been affected by the work that we do. And I want you to put yourself in there. And I want you to start thinking out more than whatever you've been thinking already. I want you to think about that glimmer of hope, that it's not just about survival. We don't want you to just survive. We want you to think bigger. We want you to think about how can you give the universe the gift that is inside of you, that is different from anybody else in the entire world. How can you share that gift with others? You were not put here to suffer. You were not put here to continue to suffer. That might be how you started your life. That doesn't have to be how you end your life. So if we can plant that seed to remind you that we would like to help you thrive, we would like to give you the mentorship, the tools to ensure that you create the best life if you're ready. If you're not ready, that's fine. And you can keep doing whatever it is that you're doing. Just keep in mind that the mindset that got you here is not going to be the mindset that gets you out. It's all going to be about changing the mindset, changing the steps that you've always done to do something different. And to do something different, if you've never hired a coach before and you've never worked with us before, then you haven't tried everything. You haven't done what you needed to do to really create that change that you were looking for. So for those of you, and I'm going to show this out there, I don't know if everybody knows, but we are actually running a promotion for Christmas. So it's an early Christmas gift, and it's also a gift because my birthday is actually a week from today. So it's a early, I like to give gifts on my birthday, and it's also Christmas. So we're giving you a gift as well for the holidays. And so as a gift to you, we're actually running a promotion. So I don't know if you missed the video from last week. If you missed the video from last week and you didn't get to see us talk about the amazing Brilliant Life Blueprint that we've been talking about this whole time on the live, just write the word brilliant in the bottom, and we will make sure that our team reaches out to you so that we can send you that video, because we want to make sure that you watch that video so you can hear all the great stuff. That special ends on the 15th of December. So the 15th of December, that special ends, and it actually gives you $1,000 off our regular Brilliant Life Blueprints, and it gives you a whole bunch of different amazing bonuses for signing up for that. So watch that. If you haven't watched it already, write the word brilliant in the bottom. I see a bunch of people that haven't watched it yet. So someone from my team will reach out to you to make sure you get that link, because we want you to watch it before the 15th so you don't miss out. And don't worry if you're watching this as a replay, still comment brilliant and we will definitely reach out to you. So I want to make sure you're all getting that, so you get really the background. Maybe you're wondering, like, what's the program actually about? What is it? Is it going to work for me? Like, I want to know a little bit more about what's involved. So if you watch that, I see a bunch of people commenting, brilliant. We will be able to reach out to you and give you that link. So for everybody else who maybe already watched the link, already watched the video, you've been watching this whole time and you're like, okay, I want to be you in 5 years. I want to be on the other side of the camera, and maybe not actually like me sharing my story with all of you, with millions of people, and letting people see, kind of take a glimpse at my life. Maybe you don't want to be here, but maybe you want to be happy, whether you're in a relationship or not. Maybe you want to break those trauma bonds. Maybe you want to be able to go on adventures and have best friends that really know you and inspire you. Maybe you want to travel cross country. Maybe you want to stop people pleasing and actually learn what boundaries are. And I'm going to give you a little hint. Boundaries aren't for other people. Boundaries are for ourselves. And if we're trying to give boundaries to people that don't respect us, guess what? They're not going to listen. So learning about boundaries, if you want to be able to learn how to have boundaries and enforce boundaries, if you're ready to say, hey, I want to be your next success story, then just do me a favor right now and write the word mentor on the bottom, MENTOR, write mentor, and someone from my team will reach out to you specifically to find out if you're a good fit for our program. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we don't work with everyone. And this is not to offend anyone. This is why. I talk to people sometimes that are not really ready to heal. They say they want to, but then they aren't really ready to take action. So we want to work with people who are not only ready to heal, but they're actually ready to take action. They're tired of reading about it. They're tired of wasting time. They're tired of doing all the things that's kicking their feet and getting them nowhere. And they actually want to start making changes for themselves so they can stop wasting time and actually make this part of their life, like Terry said, this part of your life, the best part of your life. And, a lot of us think, well, I'm so old now, I've wasted so much of my time. Well, what if right now is the beginning of the best part of your life? But guess what's not going to happen? If you don't decide to make changes now, the same old of maybe it's comfort, maybe you're comfortable in the discomfort, same old is going to happen again. So if you're ready to be one of our success stories, if you want to someday be like, you know what, because Donna that you saw, she never, when she started, would have never guessed in a million years that she would be on doing a live. She told me when she started, I won't even do a video in the inner circle that's only with a small group of people in the group. She would refuse to do that. And here she is doing a live with us, knowing that all these people are going to see her. So if you're someone that wants to be on that other side, possibly maybe have the possibility of actually getting interviewed and sharing your story of how you've overcome and have that origin story of now all the wonderful things that you're doing and where you started from, please comment the word mentor. And again, we can talk about what it would be like to work with us. We've got the Brilliant Life Blueprint. We've got other possibilities to work with us if you are serious about making changes now. So thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. I always love hanging out with you. Happy holidays. I'm going to, send you all extra love from me to you, from my family to yours for the holidays, for my birthday, for all the wonderful things you do. And never forget, you are way stronger than you realize. Bye, everybody. Have a great night.